Thank you for joining us today for our Getting Started with Kiddo webinar. My name's Amanda Derbyshire and I'm the Program Director of Kiddo. And with us today, I have my colleague Julia Andrew, who is our Early Years Engagement Manager. While we wait for a few people to join us, we'd love you to let us know where you're joining us from today in the chat. I know we've got people on here all over Australia, which is fantastic to see. And while we do wait for a few people to join us, I'm just going to play a quick video which tells you all about Kiddo.
Physical activity is vital for children's physical and mental health. However, children are less active than ever before and they are less skilled. But we can do something about this, and early childhood is key. We believe that every child deserves the chance to develop the skills and confidence to be active for life. That's why we created KIDDO. KIDDO provides everything early learning services need to help children from birth to 5 years develop gross motor skills and physical literacy.
It's an all-in-one online platform that's all about building the capacity of educators. KIDDO makes it fun and easy to provide more opportunities for children to be active and develop the basic building blocks of movement. That is, the skills to crawl, walk, jump, balance, kick, catch, and many more.
KIDDO has hundreds of activities that services can access, which are tried and tested to boost confidence and develop skills. They provide purposefulness in indoor and outdoor active play. And best of all, they're easy to deliver and fun for everyone.
We know it's important to make skill teaching simple. So we also provide free access to professional development courses authored by world-leading experts. They're based on the latest research and will upskill your team and give them confidence to deliver high-quality programs.
We understand that educators and services want the very best for their children. That's why we've created ready-made teaching and learning experiences for you to use for all ages. You'll have confidence knowing that what you're delivering is proven to engage children and develop their gross motor skills. While educators love having experiences all planned out for them and enjoy the activities just as much as children, it's seeing the children progress that really makes it special. The KIDDO Milestone Tracker allows educators to easily observe and share children's physical development with parents in just a few clicks. We've got parents covered too. Our Parent Hub connects them with the skills children are focusing on at your service. They can also access activities to play with their children at home, as well as other helpful resources to continue the KIDDO fun.
KIDDO is aligned to all 7 quality areas of the National Quality Standards and the Early Years Learning Framework. And we have resources that will show you exactly how KIDDO can be used to help your service achieve exceeding ratings.
KIDDO is fun, it's easy to use, and it works. Join over 700 early learning services and thousands of educators who love using KIDDO. And together, let's help children develop the skills and confidence to be active for life.
Okay, thanks everyone for letting us know where you're joining us from today. It's great to see people from all over WA and Australia online. And I know that we also have services who are using KIDDO and have used KIDDO for many years and some who are completely new to KIDDO. So I hope you can all get something out of today. Before we get started, I do have to acknowledge the support of Healthway. Without Healthway, KIDDO would not be here today, and they've supported us to roll out the program to many early childhood education and care services and develop our online platform. So before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we reside. We're based in Perth in Western Australia, and it's the land of the Wadjuk Noongar people. And to all the native people on the lands on which we work and live, we pay our respect to. So today's workshop, we're going to talk about what is KIDDO. We've just given you a quick overview video. We're going to go into why is it important? Why is gross motor skill important? Why do we need to develop fundamental movement skills and physical literacy? And then I'm going to hand over to Julia, who's going to talk about delivering physical literacy and fundamental movement skills in your service. What does it actually look on a day-to-day basis? I'm going to jump on board the KIDDO website with you and give you a quick demonstration, and then we're going to finish with how other services are using KIDDO. Okay, so everything we do at Kiddo is based on our goal and our vision in that we want every child in Australia to develop the skills and confidence to set them up for a lifelong participation in physical activity and all those benefits that come from that. A few years ago, it might have just been that we recognised all the physical health benefits like stronger muscles and bones. Now there's a lot more awareness, both from children and adults, about the mental health and well-being benefits, as well as the impact on supporting learning and decreasing chronic health conditions in the long term. So everything we do comes back to trying to achieve this goal, and we do this by supporting you. So we support educators across early childhood education and care services and primary schools to implement physical literacy in your setting. It's important to understand that developing fundamental movement skills, or you might refer to them as gross motor skills, it isn't just having an impact on physical development. We know developing fundamental movement skills means children are more likely to be physically active throughout their life, but there's all these other benefits as well. There's the social skills of building self confidence and self esteem, improving social skills. It's building those learning behaviors, focus and concentration. Very importantly, on the emotional side, there's a lot of research evidence that's come out recently about how physical activity and fundamental movement skills can help improve self regulation, enhance problem solving. And a lot of these benefits come from the enhanced brain development and supporting mental health. There's a lot less likelihood of anxiety and depression in children who are physically active and have well developed gross motor skills. So, when we're talking about implementing physical literacy in your service, bring it back to this. We're not just developing gross motor skills, we're building social skills and communication skills, emotional regulation, mental health, and brain development. We're looking at the whole child and all the benefits that come to the whole child as come from putting physical literacy in your service. So, what is physical literacy? Physical literacy might be a new term for many of you, and it's just important to understand that we're looking at not just developing skills, and we will talk a lot about skills today, about gross motor skills and fundamental movement skills, but there's more than that. There's these other factors, because I'm sure you know plenty of people who have the skills to be active but aren't active. So we need to develop the confidence to be active. So that's the confidence to run and climb and catch and throw a ball, to be active in the playground outdoors, to be active to music, to be active in your backyard or in your house or with others in different environments. And then there's motivation. Children need to want to be active. And at this age, a lot of it's about engaging in active play. So making sure those experiences are fun, age appropriate, and engaging. And then the other aspect is knowledge. Children need to understand how it makes their body feel and the benefits for their body, particularly as they get older. So physical literacy is just understanding that we need to develop skills as well as motivation, confidence, and knowledge to set children up for the best likelihood of being active throughout their life. And this applies all the way from babies all the way through to older adults. You might recognize times in your life when you've had high levels of physical literacy and other times where it might be low. And this will ebb and flow throughout your life. As we go along, if you do have any questions, my colleague Julia is in the chat, so please just pop them in the bottom uh, chat box, and also any comments as well. Now, how long do babies and toddlers and preschoolers need to be active? Australian government released the 24-hour movement guidelines for the early years in 2017, and what these do is outline how long children need to be active to get all those benefits from physical activity that we've talked about, both from emotional and social and communication skills to the physical health benefits as well. So, what it says is that children aged 1 to 5 years need 3 hours of physical activity a day. And more is better. So you don't need to stop at three, go, right, we've got our 3 hours, that's enough. More is better is a key message. For preschoolers, 3 to 5 year olds, they actually break it down a bit more, and they say of that 3 hours, at least 1 hour should be energetic play or huff and puff physical activity. And a lot of the research is showing that that's what children aren't getting. They're not getting that 1 hour of huff and puff physical activity. And the reality these days, with many children spending long days in early childhood education and care, is that we need children to accumulate most of this 3 hours in your early childhood education and care setting. My colleague, Professor Hayley Christian from the Kids Institute, has done a lot of research tracking actually how active are children in the ECEC setting. And this data that you can see on the pie chart on screen, she found that actually only 12% of children in ECEC are meeting that physical activity guidelines of 3 hours a day. And of that 12%, only 3% of them are children. So there's lots of work to be done to help children reach the 3 hours of physical activity a day and get all those benefits that come alongside with it. So the Kiddo program is developed based on a child's motor development. You can see on screen, this is the motor development timeline. So when babies are born in that first year of life, they're born with reflexes and then they start losing those reflexes. And this is when they start developing their rudimentary movement skills. So this is things like reaching and grasping, rolling over, pulling to stand, sitting up, crawling and walking. All babies and toddlers in this rudimentary stage need is an opportunity to move every day in a safe and supported environment. So if we can provide that opportunity to move in a safe and supported environment, the children will develop these skills at different times, generally in the same order. However, once they start walking, they're ready to start exploring the fundamental movement skills. So, fundamental movement skills are things like balance, run, jump, catch, throw, kick, skip. And we often call these the basic building blocks of being physically active. There's a lot of research around fundamental movement skills, and it all shows that children need to develop these skills to give themselves the best chance of being active throughout their life, as well as all those other benefits that we talked about before. But it's important to know that fundamental movement skills are a little bit different. They are learnt skills. So children need both the opportunity to explore these skills, but they also need teaching and learning. Teaching and learning doesn't have to be an hour-long PE lesson, and it certainly shouldn't be for a 3-year-old. Teaching and learning might be playing a game of follow the leader and you're role modeling how to have your arms out like an aeroplane while you're balancing along a log. Okay? Um, Teaching and learning might be setting up some targets and exploring throwing by throwing at the targets, trying to knock them down. But if we can provide in these early years the opportunity for children to explore these skills as well as learn them, they're a lot more likely to master these skills, which we would normally expect at around the age of 8, and then go on to more specialised movement skills. So between the ages of 3 to 8 is when we want to really set children up with opportunity plus teaching and learning to develop these skills. So I'm going to hand over to Julia now, who's going to take you through actually what delivering physical literacy looks like in an early childhood service. Thanks, Julia.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. So, we do know that services are doing an amazing job of promoting gross motor skills and providing lots of opportunity for active play for children in their services. I was wondering if you'd like to share in the chat box what are some of your favourite ways to encourage active play in your services? It might be music. Sleeping bunnies is a favourite of some of the kids that I come across, or it might be a favourite game or activity. It's a great opportunity for us to learn from each other if you'd like to share in the chat box. So, while we're doing that, I'd just like to share with you about how delivering physical literacy is actually going to look at an everyday level in your service. So, there's really two components to this. So, we're going to have a mixture of active play as well as explicit teaching and learning. And we want those both every day. So if we have a look at the active play, so that's when we give kids the opportunity to try and get to that target of 180 minutes. And it's really being purposeful and intentional about planning your indoor and your outdoor environment. So it might be that you've been focusing on the fundamental movement skill of catching. So, when you're thinking about planning your environment, you want to give the kids lots and lots of opportunities to practice that skill and to experiment and gain their confidence. So, it might be putting lots of balls of different sizes and shapes around, or maybe some bean bags, giving them lots of opportunity. And we really want to see educators engaging. We're going to talk a little bit more about this soon, but there are two key strategies, role modeling and prompting, that we want educators to be doing in services, because the more that you engage, the more that children are going to want to engage as well. So that's the active play component. When we go over to the teaching and learning, this is our explicit intentional teaching of skills. So it's where we're aware of the age of the children and where they're at in their developmental stages. And we want to be planning the introduction of fundamental movement skills across the year. So focusing on one skill at a time for a period of time, usually around 4 to 6 weeks. And when we do these teaching and learning experiences, we want to keep them simple, we want to keep them fun, and we also want to be using consistent language. And that's going to be something we'll talk about a little bit further into the webinar. So, how can we really encourage that active play? So, I mentioned before that educators being involved is going to get kids wanting to be involved as well. And there are two key strategies that have really been proven to be very, very effective in building children's confidence and getting them involved in things. So, often kids have actually had limited opportunity to be involved in physical activity, or maybe they lack the confidence. Those kids that prefer just to play in the sandpit, build a sandcastle, or maybe stay at the table and colour or do their craft. So, the first key strategy we've got is something we call prompting. So, that's asking movement questions. Things like, how far can you jump? What do you do with your arms when you balance? Can we balance along that? Or can you show me how to balance? See, these are asking questions to get the kids really thinking about how they are moving. And it's a really good way to give them agency in their movement and get them involved. So, the other thing that you can do is be a role model. Get involved yourself, model the skill, get out there on the playground and balance along the edge of the sandpit, or do the activity with the children. Or it might be as simple as just being on the equipment out in the playground with them. So, two really effective but really simple strategies that you can implement in your service to encourage kids to be involved in the active play. So, what's Kiddo going to look like in your service for the babies and the toddlers before we start focusing on those specific fundamental movement skills? So, for babies and toddlers, it's really about providing environment and engagement within that environment. So, it's making lots of opportunities for kids to be able to move indoors and outdoors every day. So, it's thinking about being really purposeful and intentional about how you're planning your indoor and your outdoor environments to really promote the opportunities for kids to move. So it's thinking about setting up really interesting movement experiences and new experiences so kids are really motivated to come in and explore them and have a go. We also want to be thinking about incorporating movement into our routines, our daily routines. So instead of asking the children to stand up and walk over to get their water bottles or their hats, you could invite them to jump like a kangaroo or hop like a bunny. So it's just really finding spaces within the day to be really intentional about building little opportunities for movement into the day. That's going to really help you get up to that 180 minutes of physical activity during the day. Of course, we want to limit the amount of time restrained, which services are amazing at. And we also want to be really thinking about planning our movement opportunities based on where children are at in their development. So, knowing where they're at and providing the opportunities for movement to help them get to that next stage. So, once the children are walking around sort of 2.5 years, we are going to start focusing on the fundamental movement skills. So, you can see here we have got these 6 basic fundamental movement skills that we would be looking at introducing first in our ECEC settings. So, we've got balance, running, jumping, kicking, catching, and throwing. Balance is going to be your first fundamental movement skill because it's the one that really underpins all of the other skills. So when we introduce the fundamental movement skills, we want to focus on one skill at a time, again, for a period of time, usually around 4 to 6 weeks. And during this time, it's really about the kids having a go and just building their confidence. It's not about mastering the technique. You just want to get them engaged and involved and build their confidence so they want to keep doing it. We start from the basic skills and then we progress to the more complex skills. And of course, when you're doing this, we want to keep it simple and really, really fun. So if I can just draw your attention to the fundamental movement skills that we've got here. If you have a look a little bit more closely, you can see what we call teaching cues. So I mentioned earlier on that we're going to use a common vocabulary. So these teaching cues are our common vocabulary. So everyone within your service is teaching the skill using the same language. So it means we've got consistency. So the children are going to remember these cues to be able to do the skill. Now, this fundamental movement skill poster is available in the resources section of KIDDO, which Amanda will show you a little bit later. I'm just going to jump on over and we're going to have a little bit more closely at the teaching cues for these skills. So you can see here we've got some of our skills, and each of the skills have these teaching cues, this common vocabulary. So this has been designed to be really child-friendly and engaging. So everyone's using the same consistent language, and it's really going to help the children be able to engage and develop these skills. So we're going to have a little bit more closely at jumping. So I'm going to show you the teaching cues for jumping. And I'm sorry, it's going to be a little bit hard to see because I'm sitting down. But when you are teaching jumping, you're going to first want to go out and practice some jumping within your service. So you might go out, and the sandpit's an awesome one to practice on, standing on the side of the sandpit and jumping into the nice soft sand. So go out and explore, see what you can jump over or into or on, and join in. Be a role model. The kids will want to get involved too if you're involved. So if we look at the teaching cues for jumping, we're going to start with our arms out behind us like a superhero. All of the kids can imagine this cape on a superhero. And we swing and we spring forward and we land with our soft knees. You can see the little boy next to number 3. And our arms like a motorbike. So we land like we're riding a motorbike. And if you really want to get the kids' attention, give it a rum, 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 rum. And they love that. So as you can see, the teaching cues are very simple but very effective. And when we're all using the same consistent language, the kids are going to pick it up really, really quickly and remember it. So these are just some examples of some of the KIDDO activities that give kids the opportunity to practice their jumping skills. So we've got Friendly Pixie, Lily Pads and Leapfrogs, and Who Stole My Cheese? So I'm going to talk a little bit about Friendly Pixie because that is one of my personal favorites. And you'll find if you've ever done Friendly Pixie in your service, you'll have the kids asking you to play it again and again. So Friendly Pixie, you as the educator are going to become the Friendly Pixie. And you're going to have a wand, which you'll be casting spells with. You need to find somewhere within your service area to be a castle. So pretend we've been focusing on the skill of jumping. So the Friendly Pixie is going to wave her wand and cast some jumping spells. So this is an opportunity for the children to practice their jumping. So you might say, Friendly Pixie says, take 5 big jumps to the tree. And the children do their jumps. Friendly Pixie says, jump like a frog. Friendly Pixie says, jump high in the sky. And then Friendly Pixie, drops her wand. And the children need to race carefully to the castle before Friendly Pixie can turn them into frogs. So as you can see, there's this beautiful narrative woven around this activity. So when you're engaged in KIDDO activities, you're not jumping across hoops or beanbags, you are jumping across the stones in the river because watch out for that crocodile. So as you can see, lovely little stories that are really, really engaging for the kids. So it is now our turn to get our brains and our bodies re-engaged. So we are going to be doing one of our kiddo activities, which is beans. This is a really simple but fun way just to sort of incorporate some movement. So everyone, if you can stand up, we're going to watch the video.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Julia, for talking us through what physical literacy looks like in your service. I'm going to jump onto the Kiddo website now and take you through a quick demonstration of how you can use the website and how all the resources that you have available to you that are so easy to access. Um, so you can see I'm on the website now. I'm logged in. I'm part of John Street Early Learning, and you can see here I've set up my rooms. You can name them whatever you like and just link them to the appropriate age bracket, and you can see the focus skills. But I'm going to actually go to the front part of the website and have a look at some of the resources first. A lot of people call this the Kiddo Gold, and this is where you find all the skill information. All the skills is completely free, so you don't need to be logged in. You can access it. But for example, Julia was talking about jumping, and you can see we've got everything from babies' gross motor skill development, like head and neck control, to the fundamental movement skills. But let's have a look at jumping. And so for each of the skills, you've got a video on how to teach and explore this skill, how it develops in children. We have the teaching tips. So that's that common skill vocabulary. So if there's one thing you walk away from today's webinar is having this common skill teaching vocabulary that's child friendly, that all of your educators can use. Really simple, really easy, doesn't cost any money and makes a real difference. And then for each of the skills, there's some tips on how educators can engage with children to encourage them to explore jumping, how you can set up your environment, and some active play ideas. Okay, so I'll let you have a play through or have an explore through all the skills when you've got some time. Now, the activities. This is the Kiddo Gold. You've got a couple of 100 different activities here that you can search by age group, by skill, by environment. So let's have a look at 2 to 3-year-olds. And we were doing jumping. So we'll continue to search for our focus skill. And you can see it comes up with lots of different. We have beans, which we just did. We were talking before about friendly pixie. Let's see, friendly pixie is on here too. So for any of the activities that you're interested in, lots of them have videos, so you can look at what it looks like. It tells you what equipment you need, how to set it up, and then it has 3 simple steps in how to play it. And really importantly, how you can make it easier, which might be for younger children, how you can make it harder for those who need to be challenged. And even more important are these physical literacy tips. So, how can we inspire confidence and motivation and improve knowledge as well as developing skills? Okay, so for friendly pixie, letting children have a turn, be the friendly pixie themselves, I promise you, will encourage motivation and they'll all want to be the friendly pixie. Now, the resources are also a wonderful resource for you. Here is where you can find posters to put up around your service. You can find those that common vocabulary. So if you aren't a Kiddo member, you can sign up for a 30-day free trial, and within your free trial you get 5 free downloads. So I'd encourage you to choose your downloads with care. One of the ones that you might want to download are these printable skill cue cards. So that's that child-friendly common vocabulary that you can use, as well as the poster. But so many resources in here. Kiddo is mapped to the national quality standards and the early years learning framework, and that's on here. Is also a sample quality improvement plan. So in the long run, it really, Kiddo does make life easier, and it does save you time. I know we had a couple of questions come in for this webinar, and one of them, which I forgot to show you, was what do we do on a rainy day if you don't have much outdoor area? The good news is that physical literacy should be indoors and outdoors. But you can simply search the indoor activities, okay? And there's so many things you can do indoors: movement to music, using scarves to reach and grasp balloons, scrunched up paper as your balls, baby drums, animal walks, floor is lava, beanbag activities. So much you can do indoors if you don't have the opportunity to get outdoors all the time. Um, Okay, we're going to jump across to the dashboard now. So whenever you're in this skills and activities and resources section, to get back to your rooms, which is where all your teaching and learning experience is, you just come up the top here and click dashboard. Um, in here, you can see I've got the rooms. Now, your starting point for your staff should be the professional development. In the professional development section, you have your full certificate of physical literacy. And we have worked with many services over the years, and this really is key to implementing Kiddo, is getting as many staff as you can trained up in completing this professional development. If you don't have time initially, this short course is a great starting point, just 30 minutes, okay? And you can start it and save your progress and come back when you need to. But would really encourage this ECEC Certificate of Physical Literacy. Once we're in the dashboard, we can click on this cog icon if you're a manager in your service. Once you're in the cog icon, this is what we call the management menu. So this is where you add your rooms, and you can add your staff. You can also add your children, and you can see your full program and all your teaching and learning experiences. But let's go into a room and see what it looks like in there, because this is where all the really valuable things are that will really save you time with your programming. And Kiddo isn't about replacing what you already do. You might find that you already do a lot of it. It's just having some intentionality behind that. And so making sure that we have blocks of time where we're introducing all the different skills. So, maybe for the first month of the year, we're focusing on balancing, then we're focusing on jumping. Then we're focusing on throwing and running, making sure that children do get the chance to explore all these different skills. So you can see for this room, we're focusing on jumping at the moment. We're in the first week of a 6-week jumping program. Each week you get given a teaching and learning experience. So if we have a look at this one, it takes you through what our learning intentions are and how it's linked to the EYLF and NQS, what equipment we need. We always start with a song. That's like our invitation to play. And there's so many good active movement songs are, and you can take our suggestion or you can choose your own, of course. And then we're playing lily pads and leapfrog. So it tells you again how to set up, how to play. It takes you through your variations and physical literacy tips, and it has a video of what it looks like in action. For 2 to 3-year-olds, we typically just have a song, one activity that's focused on our focus skill, and then we finish with play. So we've got all the hoops out, so we let the children explore and play with the hoops on their own terms, and we might use role modelling and prompting to encourage that engagement. So really simple, not complex, not an hour-long PE lesson, I promise. Okay, so that's a teaching and learning experience, and you can find the whole year's worth of teaching and learning experiences in this experiences tab. So see, and if you click on the printer button, you can print them out or you can view them. The printable ones are a great resource if you want to have, get yourself with a folder of them and have them easy to access. But they take you through all the different skills there. Back on the overview, and you can see that each day you also get given an indoor activity and an outdoor activity. You can also choose these activities yourself. So if you click on the little circle here, that will take you to the planner, and you can customize your indoor and outdoor activities. So if you have some favorites, you can drop them into your planner here as well. The other thing I'm going to show you today, because we don't have a time to look at everything, we do have another webinar coming up in October that's specifically for education leaders around programming and using the milestone observation tool. But today I just wanted to show you the program. So this is where the programs you've got available to you. You can see some of them have been developed by KIDDO and others have been developed by users here. And you can see we're focusing on jump at the moment, then we're moving on the skill of kick, and then we're doing catching. And you can customize this calendar as well, so you can move it around and you create your own programs, but it just makes sure that you focus on each of the skills across the year. So giving children, making sure that explore these skills, have the opportunity for teaching and learning and mastering these skills. So that's your program there for you. What we're going to talk about the next webinar in October is how we have a milestone observation tool for you. So this allows you to feed into your planning and assessment cycle and see where the children are up to, and help plan their programs and what skills they need to be focusing on, as well as sharing that with families. Um, I did download a couple of examples here of what they look like when you print them out. So this is a teaching and learning experience of balance. If you print it out, you can see it has the learning intentions and it takes you through each of the activities. So you can easily print out that. This is what a program looks like if you print it out. So this is a baby's one. Julie has been very busy at the moment updating all the learning intentions so that you can just copy and paste into your planning document. So they're really detailed links to early years learning frameworks and national quality standards, and it takes you through each week. So again, saving you time in your programming and planning. It's all there done for you, but also allowing you to create your own. For all of these, you can create your own teaching and learning experiences as well. And the last one I wanted to show you was the milestone observation report. So when we take you through this at our next webinar in October, you can see what it looks like. This is the report it generates as soon as you do the milestone observation that you can share with parents. So you can see we've looked at balance, jumping and running here. Okay, I'm going to leave the website now and go back to the presentation. Okay, and I'll just pull up the presentation again, and Julie is going to share with you how services are using KIDDO in their service.
Wonderful. Thanks, Amanda. Okay. So, how is all of this going to look in your service? What I'd like to share with you is an example of one of our exemplar services. So, this is an award that was launched this year that, excuse me, aims to recognise outstanding practice in implementing physical literacy. So this is one of our exemplar services. This is Kids Galore in City West. And I just wanted to share with you a few ways that really does make them incredibly successful at embedding physical literacy into their everyday practices. So first of all, they've really prioritised the professional development. So usually they've got around 4 staff members that have completed that 3-hour certificate of physical literacy. And it just means that you've got staff that are equipped and skilled and confident to deliver the program. So a really key aspect there. They have KIDDO embedded into their curriculum and their daily practices. So KIDDO is explicitly referenced throughout their curriculum in short and long-term planning. So it means that all staff members, regardless of who's on annual leave or who's away sick, know what skills being focused on, what activities the children are doing. And it just means that when things get busy, it doesn't get forgotten about. It's really embedded into practice. They are wonderful at linking KIDDO to their lines of inquiry. So when I last visited, they had just finished a topic of looking into jobs or professions. And what they did is they set up this amazing obstacle course, and all of the children got to dress up as little posties and post ladies. And they completed this obstacle course. And at the end of it, they got to pop their letter into a mailbox. So I thought it was just a really beautiful example of incorporating physical movement into your everyday lines of inquiry. They use the Kiddo milestone tracker. So we'll actually go into this a little bit more in the webinar in October. But the milestone tracker is a really wonderful way for you to inform your planning and assessment and complete your summative assessments so you know where children are at and you can plan for the next steps in their development. So Kiddo is explicitly included in their new staff induction. So when you have new staff starting, they know that your priorities lie around really supporting physical literacy. So Kiddo is explicitly embedded into their new staff induction PowerPoint. So they have kiddo champions in each of their rooms. And the kiddo champions, it's their job to mentor other staff, to keep everyone informed, to update staff and staff meetings, and just to introduce new concepts. So they really drive the kiddo program within the service. They also have, as you can see on the slide here, these amazing notice boards all throughout the service. It's a little bit hard to see, but next to their curriculum, they have this beautiful notice board set up where they've actually got the children to write about what they've been doing in kiddos. So a really lovely way to incorporate the children in their learning. So that's just an example of how you can really successfully embed kiddo and physical literacy into your service. Whoopsie, sorry, pop back there. So how can you make the most of your kiddo membership? So after working with thousands of ECEC services over the years, we've really found that there are some key drivers to be really successful with kiddo in your service. So the first is nominating those kiddo champions. So they're the staff members whose job and whose role it is to really lead the program within your service. The second is making sure that you give your staff time to complete the professional development. It's going to give your staff the skills and the confidence to be able to successfully implement kiddo. Also, as I mentioned before, building this into your programming and planning, making sure it's in your curriculum. So when things get busy, it doesn't get lost. And finally, share kiddo with families. You're doing all of this amazing work to provide their children with opportunities for health and lifelong wellness. Share it with them. Families love hearing about what you're doing with kiddo. So one of the questions that came in was, how can we, how do we prioritize this when we're time poor? So it's really just making sure that you take one step at a time. Choose one step. It might be focusing on getting as many staff within your service to complete the professional development. And that's all you do for a little while. And then you start to incorporate some of the activities, or you start to incorporate specific fundamental movement skills. So just start small, take small steps. A lot of this you're already doing. So it's really just providing structure and intentionality behind a lot of the things you are already doing. So very exciting. We have the Physical Literacy Week launching in November 2025. So the Physical Literacy Week is going to be a week-long celebration of physical literacy. And each day you're going to get some movement challenges. There's going to be lots of incorporation of families. The first, I should mention, it is free to sign up and register. And the first 100 services that do sign up will get an equipment and resources pack. So first 100 services. If you complete the Physical Literacy Week challenges, you go in the draw to win some amazing prizes. So Amanda's going to pop in the chat box the link to register. Again, it's free to register and amazing prizes up for grabs. A really amazing way to embed physical literacy and build those partnerships with families in your service. So if you don't have a kiddo membership, we'd invite you to sign up. As Amanda mentioned, we have free 30-day trials for kiddo. So you can see here kiddo.edu.au/ELS. Please sign up for a free trial and then you can get to know what kiddo is all about and how it can benefit your service. So before we finish off, I'd just like to share with you a quote from one of the educators in one of our services. It just really reflects how Kiddo can be reflected in practice. So she says, I see the educators talking to children more about, can you balance on that? Can you jump off? Can you hop? I think it's being reflected in natural practice, which is really where it benefits the children. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope it's been really informative. Amanda and I are going to stay on. So if anyone has any questions that you'd like to pop up and ask, we're very happy to answer them for you.
Yeah, so any questions? Thanks, Julia. That was fantastic tips. And I would really emphasize that it really is just one step at a time. Start by exploring the activities and building it into your programming. You don't have to do it all at once. So, yeah, please pop any questions into the chat. There is a question there from Victoria about, does a teacher need special admin privileges to create a new room? So there's two different roles within the Kiddo website. You're either an educator or a manager. Your service decides who has those roles. So you do need to be the manager role to create a room and also to add new staff. So if you have the educator role, you can only see the rooms that you've been allocated to, whereas if you're a manager, you can see all the different rooms and create new rooms as well. So it's up to you in your service how many staff you want to have as managers and who that is. If you've got any other questions, please pop them in. Otherwise, we'll finish up the webinar. I hope to see many of you register for Physical Literacy Week. It's all completely free, made possible through Healthway, and we're really excited about sharing some great daily challenges, engaging families, and we've got some fantastic new resources that we've developed for Physical Literacy Week. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us today. Oh, I can see Victoria's got one more question. So before we finish, if you want to pop your question in the chat, Victoria. Fantastic, Echo. Great to see a few of you joining. The more you can get on board your service, the better. And this replay will be sent to everyone who's registered, and it'll also be available on the website so you can access it for new staff as well. Yeah, sorry, I did try and answer your question before, Victoria. You do need to have the manager role to create a new room. So if you have the educator role within the Kiddo website, you can't create a new room, but if you have the manager role, you can create new rooms. But if anyone else has any further questions, please just pop us an email on the details that you can see on screen, and we'll get back to you. Our role is to support you to use the Kiddo. Please reach out. Thanks, everyone.